Coming in hot from Arizona, this is Trevor
and Troy Howard.
And you're on SoTellUs Time. You can have everything you want in your business. Sometimes you just need a little help.
Every business owner would love to charge more for their services, but sometimes you can sacrifice long-term loyalty for a short-term profit.
Creating the right rituals is key to your business having success.
Are you tired of competing with your competitors? Guess what? You don't have to compete if you create.
Hey everybody, welcome to episode 2, follow-up to our previous week's episode. So if you haven't listened to the previous week, go back and listen to the previous week. And last week's episode is called Just Start, and it's a good one. It's a quick one, and it's a good one, and this is kind of following up and just a little bit different. This is called Happily Ever After. Happily Ever After. So last week we were talking about just getting started and moving forward and not always knowing the steps that you're going to need to take. This week with Happily Ever After, we're going to talk about the opposite approach. We're going to be talking about looking at that final stage of where you want this business to be, this product to be, the service to be, whatever it is that you're working on that you want to improve. You'll look at the end result, and then we're going to teach you how to get there with the steps. And we're going to do it in a reverse engineered way. And here's the thing is, all too often as entrepreneurs, this is what I was talking about. If you did listen to last week's episode, and I think you did because you probably paused this episode and you went back and you listened to last week's episode, right? Okay.
Yes.
So I told you, I'm going to blow your minds with one statement. And here it is. You are not your perfect customer. I think you needed to hear that. Our young entrepreneur that we spoke about last week, he needed to hear that. And he said that. I needed to hear that because he wanted to make it perfect before he launched it.
Yep.
Right? He wanted it to be like exactly the way he wanted. But I said to him, you are not your perfect customer. What you want doesn't mean that's what the masses want. And you don't want to build it for you. You want to build because you're one person.
Yeah.
You're not going to make a whole lot of money off of yourself. You want to build it for what everybody wants, right? Okay, so let's jump in on how to start looking at what you want, the final, and then working our way to getting there. Right, Troy?
Absolutely.
All right, let's do it.
So a lot of times in our society, especially Western society, we tend to look at everything in a linear way. We start at point A, we go to B, C, D, all the way to point Z. When we read, we start on the left side, we go to the right side. Everything's, in a line. However, sometimes we need to start with point Z, or the end goal, and then we got to work our way backwards. Mm-hmm. So I'm just going to give you, I think the best way to explain this or to show this is just work through an example.
Yeah.
And so the example I've got, my end goal is that I need an additional sales channel in my business. So maybe I've got online marketing that's working really well, but I need other ways to bring in new business. And we've talked about this a lot, in our podcast, that you want to have multiple channels, sales channels.
Avenue of revenue.
Exactly. So as a business owner, I'm saying, okay, well, how do I get another one? What can I do? So the first question I'm going to ask myself is, all right, I know my end goal is I want another channel. So now what is my new channel?
Right.
Well, my new channel is I'm going to hire a salesperson.
Okay.
Cool. Now, if I was going from A to B, I'd be like, okay, hire a new salesperson. What do I need to do? I need to create an ad and hire somebody.
Wrong.
And that's my sales channel, right? I got a new sales channel right there. No. If you work from the back forwards, you're going to say, okay, I need to hire a new salesperson. All right. So if I hire a new salesperson, I got to pay that salesperson. So how am I going to pay them? Okay, well, I need to figure out some sort of a commission structure,
right,
or a salary or something like that. Okay, now I've got them. I'm going to get the new person. I'm going to pay them X amount or whatever it is. Now who's going to train them? Because somebody's got to train them to do their job, right? So okay, well I'm going to train them. Okay, well if I'm going to train them, what do I need?
Right.
To train them? So okay, well let's see. Well, first, actually, how am I going to train them? Let's talk about that first.
Right.
How am I actually going to train them? Well, I'm going to have them go out and I'm going to have them knock doors. So I'm going to teach them how to canvass a neighborhood, how to knock on doors, and to close sales.
Right.
Cool. Sounds pretty good. So now what do I need to train them? Well, I got to have a script.
Yeah, that's right.
Right? Because I got to make sure they're saying the right thing. I'm probably going to have pamphlets, handouts, things that they can give out to people. So I need to create those.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to need some way for them to capture the leads.
Yep.
And follow up on those leads. Okay, so I need that. So now I've just created a bunch of tasks.
Well, yeah, that's called the sales process.
Right?
And a lot of people don't. You're right. You're exactly right. I have the perfect example, which I've given in previous podcasts. So again, go back to our old podcast and listen, because you're missing out on really good stuff. And so I had somebody come knock on my door, and they were a young sales guy. They wanted to inspect my attic for heat leakage and all this stuff. And they were going to try to sell me all this stuff. And I was like, okay, great. Well, I'm not really interested yet. I want to do a little more research. Can you give me like a pamphlet? And he's like, oh, I don't have any pamphlets. And I'm like, okay, well, can you give me a business card? Oh, I don't have any business cards. Oh, I guess my boss should give me business cards. He should make me some. I'm like, oh my gosh, yes, he should. I said, okay, great. Why don't you just tell me what your website is? He's like, we don't have a website. Or if we do, I don't even know what it is. And I'm like, are you kidding me? And I said, I literally stopped him and said, what did you come here expecting to do? He goes, well, I wanted to get up into your attic and see if there's any like heat loss and all this. And I said, okay, great. I'm looking at your vehicle. It's a tiny wind-up car, like a little Prius. I'm like, where's your ladder? And he's like, and he's like, do you have a ladder? And I said, yeah, I do have a ladder, but guess what? My ladder is not available to you because I'm not here to provide you with what you need in order to try to sell me something. And I was like, and I'm sitting there looking at him, and I literally looked at him and I said, how did you expect to get up into my attic today? He's like, well, I'm pretty tall. And I said, guess what? My ceilings are 15 feet tall. And he's like, oh yeah, they are. And I was like, buddy, you need to go back. And I gave him some pointers and said, go back to your boss and tell him, man, I just got filleted by this guy. So you would like with Troy's example, you're probably going, duh. No, people go from A to B all the time. They're like, or like A to Z, I would even say.
Yes.
They go A to Z. They're like, I want more sales and I need a salesperson. So A, I want more sales, and Z is salesperson. Boom. I hired him, and now I have no business cards. They don't even know if we have a website. I didn't give them a ladder to climb up into people's attics. There's no flyer. It happens. So don't be like, duh. Actually look at your business and think, do I actually have all the things my guys need,
Yeah, exactly. I'm glad you brought up that. That's a perfect example, right? Of what we're talking about, because a lot of times we just want to jump from A to Z, and we hire that person and then we're like, oh crap, who's going to train them?
Yeah.
I don't want to train him. Right. I'm too busy, right?
Yeah.
I don't have time to train this guy.
Totally.
And in fact, we did this in our business.
Oh,
yeah. A long time ago. Ron was handling all of our sales, and he's like, I am so busy. I need another salesperson.
Yep.
So we're like, okay, let's put it together, figure it out. And he's like, and then like he came back like the next day and he's like, I hired somebody. And we're like, wow.
Okay.
And we're like, all right, so, and again, Ron's awesome. He's the greatest salesman I've ever met in my life.
Yeah.
But he's like, spent like, 4 hours with this person, and then basically just threw him to the wolves and said, okay, go and, sell. And they're like, well, I don't know. I don't have anything. I don't know what to do. Yeah. Because Ron was so busy selling. He's like, well, I don't. And we said to him, like, Ron, are you training this person? I don't
have time for that.
I don't have time for that. I'm too busy selling. And we're like, okay, then we probably shouldn't have jumped to step Z and hired the person when we didn't have everything that they were going to.
And we said to him, we're like, after a few weeks, we're like, Ron, she's like trying, but again, you've got to come spend time with her. And he's like, well, I don't have time for that. So just use her for whatever you want. And I'm like, no, you hired her to sell. Like, I didn't hire her. She's awesome. And she's great to have around the office and so fun, but you have to train your person. And in the end, we were just like, oh, sorry. Like,
Actually,
we've done it too.
luckily she got married, I think, and then moved.
That's true. She did. She got married and she moved away, and we're still friends. They're awesome.
Yes.
So.
But so even in our business,
Of course.
And at that point we were probably in business for, I don't know, 14 years.
Yeah.
Isn't
that funny?
So it's not just,
No, remember, in our podcast, we talk about things we are experiencing or have experienced. So this is no shame in our podcast, for sure.
Absolutely. So that's the thing. Like, I want you to think about, can you see how by starting with the end goal, it can help you actually put together a comprehensive task list of what you need to do, so that you can actually accomplish what you want. Right. So you don't jump from A to Z.
Right.
And we talked about it, if we had started, well, we did it 14 or whatever years ago.
Yeah.
We started with, we need to hire somebody, and, step Z was taken the very next day, and it was horrible. It didn't work out at all. So now
we learned from those mistakes.
Exactly. We learned from those mistakes, and now this is what we do. We look at what's the end goal, and we start working our way backwards. And what we found is that we create a much bigger task list and a much better plan that will actually get us to our goal.
And the cool thing is once you've done it, like, now we have a killer sales process.
Oh, yeah.
So if we can have someone come in that is a decent salesperson, we can set them up in a day or two, do some training with them. We have a whole sales pipe that they literally sit down at their desk every day, open up their calendar, and they have appointments. So we're even feeding that pipe. It's not even cold calls. I mean, we went the hard opposite. We experienced this and thought, this was stupid. What a waste of time, energy, and efforts and money 14 years ago doing this. Let's do it right. So we just went the polar opposite and spent a ton of money setting up this amazing thing. And now we can take a decent salesman and he can close 80 to 100%, which sounds kind of crazy. And maybe we'll explain that a little bit further, but later in another episode. But we can just set somebody in it, and it is up and running.
Yeah.
So once you do it once, you then have it for life.
Exactly. And this is for any decision and any goal in your business, not just about hiring people. Yeah, exactly.
Sales.
You can apply it to anything that you need to accomplish in your business.
Marketing, new product, new service, anything like that.
Yep.
All right. Well, and I want to jump in and say one last thing is, now you may be looking at us going, Troy and Trevor, last week you're contradicting yourselves. You said just get started. Just do it. Just start, right? That is true, because last week, a lot of people have a hard time when they look at the end result, even taking that first step. So they needed to hear it's okay to just take the first step and not know all the steps along the way.
Yep.
Now this week, and that's why we told you we're going to have this week was about the people that they need to know that process and work it backwards, and they'll actually implement it and do it.
Yeah.
Okay, because there's many different personalities out there, but there's definitely two distinct personalities where the people who will take that or need to take the leap of faith and just move forward.
Yeah.
Right? And then there's the people who need to see the end but work it backwards and have every step, but they'll actually implement it. So if you are the person that will see the end result but get overwhelmed, you don't do this, because this will overwhelm you and you'll never start. But for the people who will work at that and build that backwards, that's what episode's about. Last week's episodes were for the people that get overwhelmed and they just need to get started. And by getting started, they will take the next step and the next step and the next step, and they'll figure it out along the way.
My analogy to this is last week we talked about jumping off a cliff and building a plane on the way down.
That's right.
So though you have people, so the people we talked about last week are the ones who have the parachute and they just won't jump out of the plane, right? And they just need to take that first step and go.
Right.
Today's episode is for the people that jump out of the plane and are like, crap, I got to build a parachute now. I'm halfway down, towards the ground. So it gives them the ability to go, I need to do this. Oh, I should put on a parachute first before I jump outside the plane.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
So we're coming with, it's two different types of people.
Correct.
And we're coming from both sides, but sometimes we need help,
That's right.
No matter what your personality is, we all need help in our business.
That's exactly right. So homework for this week, obviously, is look at that end result and figure out what are those steps moving backwards, and make sure you have it all in place before then jumping in. Don't go A to Z, go A, B, C, D, right? Take the right steps, but you actually work backwards. And I'm not even going to try to say the alphabet backwards because I can't do that.
Nope.
Like I see these videos where the cops are like, "You're drunk, say the alphabet backwards." And I would look at I would have looked at them and said, "I can't do that sober. Oh shoot, I'm drunk." Let alone because I'm drunk right now. All right, guys. Hope you had a great time with us today. We will catch you guys on the next episode of SoTellUs Time.